In this quest, the local explorer is unsure why the nearby goblin population is acting so aggressively toward the settled humans. He needs to study them to find the answer. So he sends us to kill 20 goblins, cut out their eyes, and bring them back to him as he's running out of eyes to study. I wonder why they're so aggressive. Let's go kill a bunch of them and harvest their organs. Surely that will help us solve the mystery and in no way exacerbate the situation. And why are we now at the Dark Portal login screen from World of Warcraft? All in all, this is actually one of the less weird quests, so strap in, we're playing Karos online. Welcome, I'm Josh Hayes, and this is Worst MMO Ever, a series where I play every MMO I can find in a journey to find the worst. Drop a like on the video or sub to the channel for more MMO stuff, ring the bell for all the future notifications, and as usual, a massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel alive. More information on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin. Today we're playing Karos online. It's free, it's on Steam, and to make things extra spicy, it's mostly in Russian, and the English translation is patchy at best. It also comes with the super fun Special Time Zing Code 3 anti-cheat software, which is the digital equivalent of a policeman demanding to search your entire house just in case you tore the tag off a mattress 5 years ago. Then moving into your house permanently to keep an eye on what you're doing. We'll be specifically removing that later. Launch the game and see those black bars on the side? They exist because the game launches in windowed mode in a really strange resolution, and when you try to change the resolution, the game crashes, so we'll just have to live with them. Server will go with Cirrus, then character creation, several gender-locked classes, swordsman, paladin, woman, mystic, all pretty generic. The Cannoneer does look like they got lost on the way to a Bloodborne cosplay contest, and if you hold the little arrow, you can spin each model slowly like a sexy armored-up rotisserie chicken. Changing the face shape is also a magical journey. The options scroll through letters, but they're not all there. You've got A, B, G, then D, which is not how the alphabet works. The Paladin is wearing high heels, sharper than Henry Cavill's jawline, but I admire a woman in armor, so we're going with her. Game starts. A pop-up login diary promises daily and weekly rewards, then a scroll explains we are heading to Mirod Village because someone was possibly killed and we need to find out possibly why. Don't try and keep up with the plot. The translations have so many inconsistencies you would go mad trying. Instead, just admire the fan service, because when I picked armored up Paladin Lady, what I really meant was skimpy bikini model with the barest suggestion of clothes. WASD movement, space to jump, but man, that running animation is really something. I was really hoping for a more badass paladin woman stepping powerfully, not dainty waif skips through the flower beds, but this is what we've got. We've got some skills bound to the hotbar already. Shield bash, lock on, and pick up nearest item. I actually quite like pick up item being both a mouse click and a bound key. To the top right, you've got the Pathfinder button. This is a checklist of things you're meant to do. It's essentially a non-invasive tutorial, and that's actually quite good. I like the way this is done. It gives new players the structure they need while not restricting the more experienced players. The tasks are pretty simple things like open the world map, equip an item, do a skill, and we'll do most of this as we play. The first task is to auto-walk using the map, which doesn't work. I'm clicking where it says, nothing is happening. Good start, Karos. Thankfully, the Find NPC feature works fine, and the quest window is bound to L for let's go do some quests. But hey, look, local spiders, and my gamer urge just takes over, and I can't help but attack them. So behold, combat. Combat is acceptable for this type of game. Okay, so if we're being honest, Karos is very much like many other generic Eastern European games we've played before. Same graphical style, same quest structure, same systems, same enemy mob placement, same overall vibes. But Karos is, if we're being honest, a little better than most of them. Animations are fluid, the aesthetics are consistent, the systems are slightly simpler and do actually work. The optional tutorial guide, the fact combat abilities are noticeably stronger and worth using, the fact you can actually die if you take on something a few levels above you. Yes, it's still got a cash shop and gacha mechanics that we'll see later, and yes, you can still spam drink potions. I'm not saying it's a great game, but it is definitely one of the better of a bad bunch. At least it is until you've played a few hours and begin to notice the translation getting worse. We'll get to that soon. Yes, the traditional pile of wheat in the middle of a pumpkin field. See, I know this is just a small asset, but this to me represents a bigger problem with these kinds of games. Assets are placed because they have a superficial connection to an area, not an actual real connection to an area. Like wheat in a pumpkin field. They're both foodstuffs, so there is a connection, but they shouldn't be in the same field. Enemy mobs are randomly scattered around without any reason to be where they are. There are no tribes, no territory, no building, no infrastructure. Farms exist randomly with no supply lines to cities. Lakes and fishing docks do exist with no storage sheds or cart tracks to take the fish away. It's very surface level. Fantasy has this, so we must put this somewhere design with no actual world structure behind it, and this has always bothered me. I really dislike the design element of these things live here and those things live there when there's no rhyme or reason behind why they live in those places. It feels like there's no past or no expected future. There is only the now and nothing will change. This design makes whatever world building the game tries to do almost impossible to invest in, because world building isn't just done through text documents or conversations the player has with NPCs. Worlds aren't built on what you are told about. They're built on what you get to see and experience and be involved in. And the world of Karos feels like so many other MMORPGs of this exact style, like a copy of a copy of a copy. And the original is so far lost to time that while this game may have the same assets and the same ideas of whatever it copied originally, it doesn't have the same truth that that thing had that made it work. I've played so many MMORPGs now, and I'm sure you've seen enough of these videos to understand the feeling. It's a simulation that has all the correct components but none of the understanding about why it has them. But back to the game, is there swimming? No. But there's a clever workaround to not needing swimming by never having any water deeper than waist height. I imagine the New World devs are kicking themselves for not thinking of that first. Spot another player with the traditional fantasy name of that. Kill an owlbear, then can't equip what it drops because I'm the wrong class and paladins do not understand how gloves work. Right, let's follow the suggested diary. Also note how as you scroll down this diary, this icon doesn't scroll evenly but instead gets squished into itself. What a random way to program that. First task, level up and use a skill point. Apparently I'm already level 4. I was expecting a noticeable visual or audio flourish when you level up, but it turns out you do get that flourish, it's just this, Russian writing above your head. Now while they've translated all of the text in the game, that level up flourish isn't technically text, it's a graphic, and they can't translate a graphic. Your skill tree is pretty standard, spend points on either active skills or passive buffs. I buy the Pierce skill, which is actually rather good. Click around the UI. What's that strange orb to the top right? Oh, of course, it's a gachapon ball, which opens a gacha machine cash shop. Not a fantasy version of a gacha machine, just 4 straight up gacha machines. And if you click them, the graphic will displace a little, which I don't think is meant to happen. You can basically spend money to get random rewards. So yeah, they're not even trying to hide it. The cash shop is just gambling. Our next task is to use the gamer assistant, which to my disappointment is not a butler dressed in an RGB suit bringing me a tray of Doritos and gamer subs. It's actually inbuilt botting software. You set it up, click start, and then just watch the game play itself. Ah, the patented visiting a friend's house, but they've only got one controller experience. The gamer assistant also auto-loots, so I let this run for a while before deciding to get back to whatever plot the game is trying to have. In 20 minutes of auto-killing mobs, I lost 3% of my health. In a touch I quite like, whenever you loot an item better than your current equipment, the game does actually tell you. The only issue with this system is it does mean that the entirety of the equipment system is based on bigger number better. There is nothing situational, at least not in the first 20 hours of gameplay. Next diary task, organize my inventory. Click the little button and we are done. Next, drag a bag onto a bag slot for more bag. Just be aware that you have a backpack and a special overflow bag. But you'll notice that the overflow bag also contains the items in your backpack. So there's no point ever using the backpack menu when the overflow bag shows everything anyway. Hey, I fixed the auto move not working issue. Normally you move with left click, but on the map you have to do right click, even though it says left click. Meet Domingo the Elder in this sad excuse for a village. You know, these games always have the village elder as one of the first people you meet, and it's because every other NPC has left to join a better village. Domingo's quest is to talk to Domingo. I'm not kidding. So the quest structure in Karos is really pedantic, and accepting a quest from anyone usually starts the chain of talk to the same NPC again to start the quest chain. I don't know why. Domingo explains he wants us to kill 2 spiderlings, which we do, and you'll notice when on a quest you've got a little gauntlet-style arrow above your head pointing you to either the quest mob or the hand-in point. And if you click the little auto-run icon next to any of the quests on the UI, you'll automatically move there. For my entire play session, the only quest type I found was go to a place, kill a certain number of enemies, and then report back. We then visit a farm who want more things killed, and then I get sent to the main city to talk to Kilias. While en route, I discover you can hear other players' sound effects at full volume, like these fireballs. Thankfully, this doesn't get too overwhelming because there just aren't that many players. Reach the main city of the first map, and it is grand and stunningly empty in that way that only Eastern MMO cities can be. Everything is far apart, everything is flat, everything feels like a corporate office party thrown in a warehouse. Everyone's standing around doing nothing, wishing they were somewhere else. It's grand, yes, but it's soulless. Nothing about this is memorable. There are, however, a few players milling around the recall teleportation stone, but nothing social going on. Kilias, the mentor, is standing in the middle of the Grand Plaza, and this is another trope of these types of MMOs. Important NPCs are always just hanging around somewhere open. They're never placed in a revered or respected location, and you're told to respect them for who they are, despite never seeing them do anything that is of any importance. Kilias says, yes, monsters appeared in your village. You should go and ask Anne about the person you're looking for. Okay, first off, how did you know we were looking for someone? And secondly, thank you for reminding me, I forgot we were meant to be doing that. Anne is on the other side of the plaza, and she says, yes, I know that person. They were around here recently. You should speak to Kilias for more information. Okay, I see how it is, game. Back and forth we go. Let's do this. Kilias explains we can't join the investigation team to help find the person that we're currently investigating until we have proven ourselves capable of being good investigators. This means we should help the local villagers and go and talk to Dalton at the weapon shop. And now I've found the in-game quest list. It lists every quest you're on and shows all the available ones in this area, but it does not show the text pop-up from the start of the game again. You know, the actual main plot hook, so I hope you've remembered that. Dalton the weaponsmith needs our help making weapons, and the only way to do this is to go and kill some prairie dogs. Apparently they have stolen some supplies and are now armed. So we kill some dogs and collect 3 bags of supplies, but they're not a 100% drop, so it takes 5 prairie dogs. And so it begins, the non-guaranteed drop, the slippery slope of the grind. Dalton helped back to Kilias. He says we still can't join the investigation until we're level 9. Also, the dialogue formatting from now on seems to have / and hashtags in it. It's not been sanitized. This is the moment the translation starts to break down too. I try, just out of curiosity, to accept the next quest, even though Kilias told me I must be level 9, and you can do that. The game doesn't stop you. Meet Holio. They need some help killing bears, so we do that, and then Holio says the spiders and bears are not natural. Someone probably hatched them from eggs, and we should inform Kilias about this. We're also warned at 10th level we must choose one of 2 specializations for our class, and each plays very differently, so choose wisely. When games do this, I always wish there was a way to try out what each specialization plays like before making a permanent, unchangeable choice. We're now sent to Simpson to get some better armor, and we learn about Fletter armor, special equipment which levels up with you, growing as you grow, so there's no need to change it until a much higher level. This is usually a system added to a game like Neverwinter or Warcraft a couple of years into the game's life to make leveling quicker, so a lower level player doesn't have to worry about constantly changing armor or comparing weapon stats. But what you gain in streamlining the early game, you lose in, actual RPG progression. If my armor grows as I grow and enemies get harder as I advance, everything feels exactly the same. I'd be playing hours and hours of equally repetitive gameplay at a comparatively equal power level to whatever challenge I was facing. Simpson the Armourer agrees to give us some Fletter armor if we get him some Fletter containers from Eileen, which is more running to another shop on the other side of the city. And I can't help but think the city would be far more productive if everyone just built their shops a bit closer together. Now I do like this. Eileen is a shop and you have to actually engage with the shop interface to buy the Fletter container. That's a good hidden tutorial. We get the armor from Simpson, but then he tells us this armor will only last for 3 hours of gameplay time and then it will be destroyed, so you still need to pick up armor as you go. And now a really strange feature. If you zoom the camera in and run, the frame rate is buttery smooth. Looks great, but if you cursor over the Fletter armor in your inventory to make the item tooltip pop up, now the game lags slightly. The floor starts to skip frames as we run over it. It feels a bit more janky. I test this with other items. Movement with no tooltip, absolutely fine. Movement with any tooltip open of any item results in different levels of frame rate drops. The flutter item is the worst offender, and I have no idea why this is. Unless the simple act of showing a tooltip needs to take processing power away from other processes. If you are a designer and know why this happens, please let me know. Kilias now sends us to the southern farm as they've requested help from an adventurer, and we seem to be the only person in this city whose job isn't stand around and wait for someone to help them. This, of course, means killing more things, and we can see the reward we're going to get, some armor. Great! As a proud paladin, I can now upgrade from assless leather chaps to thigh-high socks. Now, the southern farm needs help. We need to go and kill 6 furious bear cubs, but that's not entirely correct. Look at the exact name of the enemy. These bears might be cubs and indeed furious, but they're not called that. And games like this, mostly grindy mob killers, really care about exact names, like how wolf, old wolf, angry wolf, or angry old wolf are indeed 4 identical, but technically different monsters. The next quest is kill Saberfangs, but again, wrong name. It's actually Hornboars. This is going to make finding the exact mobs a bit of a chore. My expectations for MMOs like this are the same as my expectations for a 1-star takeout at 2 AM in a student town. I know I'm not going to die, but after the experience, I kind of want to. Karos has given me 300 health potions, but I've not had to use any of them. We tell Jason we've killed the horned boars, and he's like, great, go and kill some rage boars, but again, wrong, they're actually rabid boars. You know, it's shocking how many MMOs like this start in idyllic countryside villages, rivers and forests, so you'd assume humans have learned how to live in harmony with nature, but no. The first hour of gameplay is always lubricate the wheels of progress with the blood of everything nearby. The rage boars are just reskinned normal boars, or should I say deskinned, because they are zombies. Pedantic nitpick moment. The spinning coin graphic has one side saying Karos and the other is a mirror version of the first side. That is not how coins work, game. Both sides of a coin are readable. Finish killing all the animals, then go and talk to Pantheon, an NPC we've never met, never heard mentioned, and don't know about. But somehow, we do know he's the one that we need to turn this quest into. Pantheon needs our help to create the ultimate sword. Okay, this is quite an interesting concept. This requires making a forge hotter than normal. Okay, that's pretty cool. And this means we need to get more rage boar blood, so go and kill even more of them. And then when we've done that, to keep the blood fresh, we need some clay beak feathers, so go and kill them. You know, a quest about making a world-class forge could be really interesting. Shame it boils down to go and do murder. Here's the moment I try to rescale the UI to get rid of the black bars, and the game crashes. Relaunch the game, and annoyingly, it doesn't relaunch in whatever you tried to change it to, but what it previously was, so no change. And now I notice this button at the bottom, Golden Gargoyle. I click it and begin auto-running. No idea where, but let's just see where we end up. Right, it takes you all the way back to the main city, and it seems to be a timed mini-boss by the castle gates. Can I kill this thing? So I attack it and, oh wow, absolutely not. It's only 1 level higher than me, but it has more health than a Whole Foods store. Even spam drinking potions, which is easy because each potion has its own cooldown, it doesn't refill my health fast enough to tank the damage this thing is doing to me, and I am making no dents in its health at all. So I go and do more quests. The world map at least shows the general area of quest enemies when you're on quest. That's a nice touch, so we kill all the claybeaks and gather some feathers. Then the daily alert system informs me of a dungeon I can't get into and the gargoyle that I couldn't kill. Guess this is the only thing going on in the kingdom at the moment. Lucas, standing next to Pantheon, also needs claybeaks killed. Lucas, if I'd have known that, I could have just doubled up on the murder and saved myself a trip. But okay, back to killing, and after all the death, I find a design that I really like. I get given a mount. Mounts are effectively summon skills tied to shoulder pads. So I wear this bear claw shoulder pad, and I can now summon a bear mount. Later I'll get a metal wolf shoulder pad that lets me summon a metal wolf mount. You can tell which mounts people are using by the stylized shoulder pads they are wearing. I really like this. It's a lovely visual touch which can add some character and customization to your outfit, but is also giving a small amount of mechanical information to the players around you. That is good world building. What you are seeing is related to the mechanics you are about to experience. And here's another nice touch. If you use the auto move function, it will automatically summon your mount for you as that is faster. That's a small but noticeable quality of life touch. Chloe the Clothier says she may have seen the person we're hunting, and if we're going that way, could we kill some swamp lizards? Because Chloe is a merciless psychopath whose bloodlust knows no bounds. I am appreciating how the consistent weapon and armor rewards from quests are all noticeably better, however mechanically the game hasn't changed at all. So far the only enemy who actually challenged me is the mini-boss. And that's a trope of these Eastern European MMOs. Balance is non-existent at lower levels. You'll either absolutely stomp everything or stand no chance at all. Skill doesn't come into it. It is all numbers based. The village elder here is like, good job killing the swampy things. Now please, for the good of humanity, go and kill even more slightly different swampy things, because apparently every human in this world is the avatar of death. So while I'm doing this, let's just have a read of some reviews. I don't like chat cause I can't read chat. A great old school MMORPG from a simpler time before jiggly boob physics was a thing and we were happy then. Tex. And then I assume he's saying very correct things afterwards. Went to create a character and was immediately disappointed. You can choose between several classes, yes, but you only get 4 hair options and 3 face options. You can't customize race, gender, or really anything for that matter, and the intro leaves a lot to be desired. You literally appear out of thin air, get a note explaining nothing about the story except a half-assed outline of your village was destroyed. Go here. Can't even really call this an RPG at this point, as it doesn't have even a proper intro. 0 out of 10 rating from me. Nice. Game. The game again refers to enemies as different things. The NPC dialogue, the quest log, the current quest UI. Is it marsh sprinters or swampy sprinters? It swaps between them, and the lack of consistency is getting worrying now. Hand this quest in and get a magical ring, our first accessory. And now we're told to go and kill the bloodthirsty tyrant, but we're explicitly told we can only do this at night, because in the daytime they are invincible. The only issue here is the game does not have a day and night cycle. Now, I often complain about games which have day and night cycles but don't do anything with them. This is the opposite. It's tried to do something with it but doesn't actually have it. The bloodthirsty tyrant enemy, despite sounding like a mini-boss, is actually one of these tyrant defender enemies, and a new mechanic. As you get close to an enemy, you'll see a yellow warning triangle appear above their head. This is an aggro range indicator. Stay within range or get too close, and the triangle turns red and you get attacked. It's not a bad system, but I cannot unsee the warning triangle being upside down. Return to Kilius after our blood-soaked adventure in Murderland, and he tells us about the Dungeon of Trials. He says nobody knows who made the Dungeon of Trials, they just found it, but it is indeed full of trials and is a dungeon, so you can pay to go in and try to kill things. So, hang on, you didn't make this place, you just found it. But you set up a ticket office and now charge people to go in and have some sanctioned murder time. I'm really starting to feel like this bastion of humanity isn't the hero in the story of this land. Kilias explains the ancient and magical Dungeon of Trials is located inside a hut to the east. And they were not kidding. So I'm guessing the designers realized actually making a cool looking entrance for a badass natural dungeon was quite a lot of effort. So they just plopped a hut down, an NPC acting as a ticket seller, and said the entrance was just inside the hut. Top-notch money saving right there. So pay the fee, and 500 gold, or Karos coins later, we're inside the Grand Puzzle Dungeon. No plot reason, no narrative connection, just, hey, we found this place a while ago, go murder things in it. I do notice a fellow player called Fallen Angel also killing stuff. In fact, they kill the enemy I need to kill, so now I'm just waiting for the respawn. I do quite like how the dungeon walls slide around, making this huge square maze-like area. It's not a bad little room. So he respawns, we take down the Lord of Trials, actually called the Test Master, and the game says we've gained a new skill for doing this, but I look around and cannot seem to find it. We report our success and get given a gem box as a reward, which could contain a rare gem or nothing. Thankfully we get something. Just a simple little gem which adds a passive buff to a weapon, and then an archaeologist needs our help. And let's just take a moment to read the quest description here. We have received new information at the archaeologist site to the east. Appears appeared fierce bears. If these are the grown-up cubs of fierce bears, which were seen in the south, they are moving. We need to find out if they hatch from same types of eggs. Right, so we've got bears hatching from eggs. I think this is the moment the translator just gave up caring. So we set off to kill 10 abominations against God and nature. Invisible walls prevent me running away screaming, and eventually I level up enough to set my specialization class as Holy Knight, but this does not seem to make a difference. And now we meet Marcus, probably the only NPC with actually quite an interesting quest chain. Don't get excited, it's not good, it's just better than the rest. Marcus tells us a tale of an old friend of his, how they were a skillful and well-loved knight of the realm, but one day an evil lord came to the land. The good knight sets off to kill the lord, and then Marcus gets distracted and says, we must go and kill 15 zombies before he tells us any more. I mean, yeah, that's one way to design quests, just have a story be interrupted by random busy work. Don't even bother trying to tie the combat to the narrative, just have them both happen. Give the player something to do. In case you can't tell, I'm being very sarcastic and this is incredibly jarring. On the way to the zombies, I spot somebody else trying to take down the gargoyle mini-boss from earlier, so I jump in and help. Maybe 2 of us can take this thing down. But this fight lasts about 6 minutes, until the guy tanking all the damage runs off and I'm not tanky enough to kill it myself, so it is still not meant to be. Finish some more diary quests and hey look, temporary wings with passive buffs attached to them because it's not a real Eastern European MMO until everyone has garish temporary wings. Interestingly enough, I'm not actually where the zombie quest wants me to be, but I've found some zombies and the quest seems to accept these as zombies for kill count, so I can complete it here. Zombies killed. Back to Marcus. Turns out his ex-soldier friend, on his journey to kill the evil lord, had a change of heart and one day just started mutilating innocent people and burying their bodies in the local swamp. The last reported sight of this knight guy says he was wearing a bright red robe, carrying a scythe, running into the local chapel catacombs. So we pay a visit to the chapel dungeon and kill the now evil knight. Now to get into the dungeon, you must talk to Kilias, who tells you to talk to Anne, who gives you 3 tokens for daily dungeon access. And these tokens last for 24 hours and you can only get 3 a day. The dungeon access NPC can send you to 4 levels of the chapel based on your level, but we only need to go to the first one. Inside the catacombs, we have no main map, only a mini-map, and I can see several paths snake outward from this circular central room we start in, but all those paths are blocked off, so I do what the game has taught me and just kill everything, which works. It makes a wall explode, revealing a path into a lovely carpeted corridor. Some flaming lanterns fall down and we fight our way through. The fire isn't dangerous, it's just a physical obstacle, so we meander around and then find and kill evil scythe knight dude. The fight is actually nicely balanced with my abilities doing noticeably more damage, and when he dies, a load of smaller knights get summoned. Bit late for the boss to summon adds, but I admire you trying. Now I've technically done the quest, but this isn't the end of the dungeon because the dungeon contains more quests. You'll get sent back to this dungeon several times to access different routes and floors as you discover more of the chapel's secrets, which is a narrative flow I quite like. I return to the main city and let Marcus know that we found his ex-friend and made him ex-alive, and he says, thanks, have these magical scrolls which make my weapon better. Now, I know that wasn't the most fleshed out or emotionally deep story, good knight turns evil, we go and kill him, but it's the best we've got to work with. So with that done, let's blitz through some diary tasks. Link to a memory stone at a city. Done. Use it. Done. This is just a recall point. Now do some mining. Marcus gives us a pickaxe, we find the local mine. Mineable ore looks just like the top part of an iced gem biscuit. To mine, you must equip the pickaxe as a weapon, get the ore, and then let Marcus know. He sends us to Simpson the armourer, who gives us a wooden shield and explains how enchanting works. And right, okay, this is basically, I'm guessing, the original tutorial quest line, which has been vastly outclassed by the more modern early quests, which have already given us far better weapons and armour, such as the Fletter stuff, which is designed to make all of this irrelevant. But the old quest line is clearly still in the game, so we are still doing it. Enchantment works by either using red or blue skulls on weapons or armour. Important note, you cannot enchant something if you're currently wearing it, so you must have space in your inventory to unequip, enchant, re-equip. Beata has a fishing quest for us, so we can confirm there is fishing, making Karos officially a real MMORPG. The classic fishing experience: equip a fishing rod, stand in a big puddle and try to outwit one of nature's slowest creatures. But as thrilling as this is, no time for more fishing. Seems the undead are unexpectedly amassing at a graveyard. which honestly is the one place you'd kind of expect the undead to amass. We get sent to kill them, and surely at this point, if you lived in this world, you'd just start cremating everyone. Burials seem like more trouble than they're worth when you know you're just creating a future zombie problem. Critique the UI some more and notice at the top left the health and mana bars, and then whatever the third bar is, overlap the letters behind them, giving us the HP, M, F, and MV bars. Let Kilius know the undead are re-dead, and he says, yes, I hope nothing attacks the city. We must be prepared for a siege. Yeah, good point, Kilius. Maybe if you spent the city planning budget on closer in walls, a moat, a drawbridge, maybe hired some guards, instead of building a giant decorative multi-headed stone dragon and the world's largest open plan courtyard. You'd have a bigger defensive advantage. Maybe use some of your Dungeons of Trials entrance fees to buy some cannons. Anyway, Kilius says no, he won't build anything remotely practical. Instead, we must go into the catacombs and kill the dark wizard responsible for raising the dead. They're in the same chapel catacombs as the boss from earlier, so we go back in, kill everyone again to open the way again, except this time it's a different way because this dungeon has branching paths which all ultimately reach the same central room, which is a nice touch. Then I spend 20 minutes taking down identical mobs and an identical mini-boss to the evil knight from earlier, and then spot a teleporter which I assume will take me further into the dungeon. So I step into it, because there's no labels or nameplates explaining what it will do, and it teleports me back outside. So I just wasted 30 minutes and a daily dungeon entrance token for no progress. So I go back and do the entire dungeon again, kill everything again, and when I get to the final room where the wizard is meant to be, the door is locked. So I spend a while killing everything and nothing happens, and then you have to read the fine print and talk to the NPCs again. You see, despite the boss being here and auto-run taking you here, first, you need some special magical energy to unlock the catacomb door. So you need to head all the way to the Zendaroon crypt, into a different dungeon, kill 10 different evil soldiers to get 10 souls. I wonder why these catacombs are always grander than the Imperial castles. Only after gathering everything you need here will the way unlock in the previous dungeon. The evil archers down here are also blue. It's nice to know the Na'vi found employment after interest in Avatar died down. And now one of the most jarring plot updates. Remember the Dark Wizard that we needed to kill to stop the zombies? Well, when we arrive back at the original dungeon with the 10 dark essence needed to unlock the wizard door, we get told, actually don't worry about it, there's no need. While we were gone, the evil Scythe Knight had another change of heart and killed the Dark Wizard for us. However, the evil wizard did leave some gargoyles in another dungeon, and we should go and deal with those. Not gonna lie, that's an incredibly random direction change. The plot now has the same energy as a child just making up a story as they go along. But I guess we're off to kill some gargoyles. This is a different dungeon to the first. It uses the same tile set and layout and design and enemies as the first, but trust me, this is a different dungeon. You know, checking out the world map shows that we're in the starter region of Borneo, and the next quest sends us to Lupinal. This teleporter lady kindly magics us there, and now we have to do the same thing again, but this time we're in a big square box city in the middle of a desert, but also not really because there's lots of water. I check out the local weapon shop and literally everything is out of my price range by a substantial amount, so I guess I'm sticking with my quest reward sword. The next quest needs me to talk to someone called Clone, who isn't actually a clone, they're just called Clone, and she sends us to the city leader Sullibent, which the game labels as Salibent. Take some quest from Sully Salibent, check my mailbox, and my god, I totally agree, I could not have put it better myself. Also, why is this guard facing into the city? Guards are meant to keep things out of the city, scanning the horizon watching for threats, unless... Are you keeping people in? Was my theory correct? Is the world suffering the blight of humanity's unstoppable, unquenchable bloodlust? It will never be quenched. No matter how much blood is lusted, the quench will never happen, and it's your job to keep the evil humanity inside the walls they have built. Well, we venture out, and just outside the city we find two statues which are absolutely not the Dark Portal login screen from World of Warcraft. No sir, nothing derivative here, please keep moving. Walk down this path filled with Twitter profile pictures of people who post tier lists of ancient architecture and thinly veiled bigotry. Then get to killing 15 goblins to collect 15 sets of goblin teeth, because the locals need those for some reason. Run along even more and find this knockoff Aetheryte from Final Fantasy XIV. This is a battle tower. You can attack it but not hurt it. It's probably an event or a PvP thing, but as there is no one around in this zone, I am not entirely sure. In fact, since coming into this zone, I've not seen anyone else. The opening zone had people in the main city at the respawn point. Here, There is no one. We get told to fight some eagles, which let out that distinctive eagle cry. You know, the sound effect you've always heard. Which, fun fact, is not an eagle cry. That is a red-tailed hawk cry. Films and games have used that cry instead of an eagle because eagles don't actually sound cool enough. Eagles actually sound like this. Now this quest has us collecting 5 eagle skins. I mean, surely you mean feathers, game. How much skin is left once you've battered an eagle? Okay, I've been talking about inconsistency. How about this? This quest asks us to collect 10 broken claws of dogs, but the enemy isn't called dog, it's called greyhound. But the model they've used isn't a greyhound, it's a hyena. But the texture they've used isn't a hyena, it's a leopard. And the specific drop we need, highlighted and underlined in the quest journal, is called chipped hound claws, but the actual drop is called broken claws of dog. That is 5 inconsistencies in one quest. And because we're being pedantic, the W in the world map window is cut off slightly, and I can't unsee it, and it annoys me. But now the strangest inconsistency. We need to talk to the bandit leader Crocodile, which is spelled differently in the quest journal and the NPC's nameplate. And this leads me to the strangest, most absurd conclusion. The names are different, making me think the NPC dialogue was completely written, then the quest journal was written, then the NPC nameplates were maybe written, and the differences are from the writers not having a bank of assets to cross-reference, and they just ended up getting the names wrong because they had to write them out by hand every time and haven't bothered to check. Croco can't figure out why the local creatures are so aggressive to humans, so orders us to go and kill 10 of them and bring back their eyes for him to study, and then 10 more, but this time take their entire heads, and then go and kill 20 bloodthirsty enemies, and then 20 different ones, and then 20 sneakies, because he needs all this data to solve the mystery of why do the local things hate and fear us? I don't know, Croco, maybe because you've become the walking avatar of death to them. Maybe because you've killed untold generations of them. You've got more blood on your hands than Lady Macbeth skinning a deer in a blender. So we start the endless slaughter and the cold uncaring laughter of Croco sings through the godless night, and then I actually do genuinely die in the game. This sends me back to the city, so while I'm here I collect more quests and get told that eagle bones are considered lucky and will protect the bearer from harm, so I should go and get some. I mean, sure, but I've got a pretty big pile of dead eagles, which would argue that their bones didn't protect them from me, and they had approximately all of them. And after doing that, we need to get 10 goblin claws too, and I'm not making this up. Make a potion which can cure athlete's foot. This game is a roller coaster of emotions. When I do try and quit for the day, I get told, no, don't go, stay just 8 more minutes and you'll get a lucky flower. And if you do still try to quit, a pop-up lets you know you don't need to shut the game down fully, you can on hunting mode, and then a winky face. Look game, I'm a millennial. I love the winky face emoticon as much as anyone who is old enough to call them emoticons, but the last quest was cure athlete's foot, so the wink is not doing it for me right now. The vibes are off. I am done. Karos is definitely a game. It is one of the games ever. It is a game I have played. It has some systems which are good, like the mount being connected to your shoulder pads, or the optional diary tutorial journey in the early game catacombs being used repeatedly as you advance through. It has some things which are bad, like everything which isn't those things I just said, and it's almost as inconsistent as Adventure Quest, but has none of the charm or love or humour of Adventure Quest. Ultimately, it's not the worst game I've played, but like a dodgy takeaway after a mediocre night out, it hits the spot for a few hours and then you'll never want to return. So, to end the review, I will award Karos 4 out of 10. Cheers for watching. Another massive thank you to the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel alive. You can support from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, and our Discord. And as always, have a great day.